Which protein powders contain the least amount of lead? About 70% of products tested contained over 120% of CR's level of concern for lead. Chronic lead exposure has also been linked to immune suppression, reproductive problems, kidney damage, and high blood pressure in adults. Now, this headline may deter some people from taking protein and intaking protein, and I empathize with that. It's not the smartest move to make at this time, especially for men over 40. That's a very crazy way to start this podcast, but these are the things that we have to worry about in 2026. But on October 15th, 2025, Megan Ziegler produced this article on foxatlanta.com titled "Protein Powders, Shakes Contains High Lead Levels, Analysis Found." So I'm going to read this article off to you and give you my 2 cents. So again, this article will be in the description. It is written by Megan Ziegler, and it starts off: a new Consumer Reports investigation found protein powders and shakes have a concerning level of lead. Here's the backstory. Consumers Reports first tested protein powders 15 years ago. Since then, protein powders have grown in popularity in the nutrition and wellness craze. Here's the big picture. Unlike prescription and over-the-counter drugs, the Food and Drug Administration does not review, approve, or test supplements like protein powders before they are sold. Now, this is not necessarily news to me, but it may be news to you. I first discovered the FDA doesn't really regulate when it comes to supplements, and that is kind of nerve-wracking. I'm not sure why they don't, but it leads to things like this. I totally believe in regulation. I totally believe in, the FDA. But when it comes to dietary supplements like protein, obviously, as it states here, they don't really, go over them like that. They don't review, approve, or test supplements. So, like I said, I first discovered this just, taking, supplements like ginger root or magnesium, and come to, realization. I think I was Googling one day or whatever, and that was the result. So that's news to me. So let's get back to the article. 120% of CR's level of concern for lead, which is 0.5 milligrams per day. So it looks like, I'm going to reread the sentence. About 70% of products tested contained over 120% of CR's level of concern, Consumer Reports. Levels of concern for lead, which is 0.5 milligrams per day. So what they're saying, it's concerning that these results are even worse than the last time we tested, said Tunde Akinele, the Consumer Reports food safety researcher who led the testing project. We advise against daily use for most protein powders, since many have high levels of heavy metals, and none are necessarily to hit your protein goals. And that's interesting. It's interesting because, one, somebody's suggesting to not take protein. So it makes you think about all the different regulations that we have going on, in this country or in this world. And not everyone is what I would say. Not everyone has your best interest at heart. And it makes you just think about, if you're a conspiracy theorist about, they don't want you to feel better or not. I doubt that this article supports that. And I think it gives an alarming illustration about what is really going on when it comes to our protein powders. Let's go back to the article. This time, in addition to the average level of lead being higher than what was found 15 years ago, fewer products also had undetectable amount. The protein powders and shakes, according to Consumer Reports, recommend the following products to be avoided. So here are some of the products to be avoided that has these high levels of lead and metals in them. So Naked Nutrition Vegan Mass Gainer, Huel Black Edition. I've never heard of those two brands. Naked Nutrition Vegan Mass. Before I run, I use my secret weapon to maximize my performance, the Breather Fit. Not only does the Breather Fit strengthen my lung capacity, it helps accelerate recovery from my workouts. All it takes is 10 breaths for 2 sets to maximize performance before my morning runs. Use my code FITBREATHE at checkout to get 20% off. With Breather Fit, you work hard, but breathe easy. I don't think I've heard of those two brands. Okay, so here's following up, just reading the article. Consumer Reports recommend limiting the following products to once a week. Okay, so this one, again, it says this is recommending limiting the following products to once a week. Garden of Life Sport Organic Plant-Based Protein. There's another brand called Momentous Supplant Protein. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Never heard of those brands. Consumer Reports recommend the following products are okay to eat occasionally throughout the week. Muscle Meds, Carnivore Mass, Optimum Nutrition, I've heard of that one. Jocko Fuel Malt Protein Shake, Vega Premium Sport, Quest Protein Shake, I have heard of Quest. Organic Plant-Based Protein Powder, I've actually used that one on more than one occasion. The next one is Optimum Nutrition Gold, Standard Protein Shake. And I got a couple others down here. Okay, Muscle Milk Pro, and KOS Organic Superfood Plant Protein. Now, Muscle Milk Pro, I've used Muscle Milk. I can't remember if it's Muscle Milk Pro, but I've used Muscle Milk. And okay, let's see what else. Consumer Reports recommended these products as better choices for daily consumption. Owen Pro Elite High Protein Shake, Transparent Lab Mass, Optimum Nutrition Gold and Standard. I've heard of those. Who else? And Dymatize. I've actually used Dymatize, the brand, but the Super Mass Gainer, I haven't used that. Okay, go on to the next one. Consumer Reports recommended this product okay to consume without limit. Muscle Tech 100% Mass Gainer, lead not detected. Now, I've used Muscle Tech years and years ago when I first started taking protein powders. This was maybe I was 22, 23, somewhere around there. But I do remember Muscle Tech. I do remember that. I haven't used that stuff in years. All right, let's continue to read the article. Consumer Reports contacted all manufacturers of the 23 products tested. 7 companies did not respond, and here they are. BSN, Dymatize, Jocko Fuel, Muscle Milk, Owen, Plant Fusion, and Transparent Labs. Optimum Nutrition declined to comment, and Huel did not respond to the questions about the amount of cadmium, that's what it is, cadmium found in its product. Of those that responded, many say that lead is a natural occurring element that is difficult to avoid, particularly in plant-based products, and that their products undergo testing to ensure safety. That is very interesting, and maybe I need to read up a lot more on that, but it says, and this is in real time, I'm reading this, didn't know it. Lead is a natural occurring element that is difficult to avoid, particularly in plant-based products. So would it be fair or would it be a reach to say that plant-based products tend to carry higher amounts of lead in them? Now, maybe that's a question we're going to have to ask ChatGPT or Gemini on the next podcast. But it continues on to say that their products also undergo testing to ensure safety. Here's what you can do. There's no reason to panic if you've been using any of these products tested, according to Consumer Reports. They also said if you take protein supplements generally, many of these powders are fine to have occasionally. And even those with the highest lead levels are far below the concentration needed to cause immediate harm. Consumer Reports just says their findings highlight why consumers should carefully consider the role of protein powders and shakes in their diet. For context, The average American adult is exposed to up to 5.3 micrograms of lead each day throughout their diet, according to the 2019 analysis published by the scientists at the FDA. The two products that tested for the highest amount of lead per serving exceeded that average amount. Naked Nutrition Mass Gainer contains 7.7 micrograms per serving, and Huel Black's Edition 6.3 micrograms per serving. That's a lot. Here's the big picture. Lead may be present in food from the environment where foods are grown, raised, or processed, according to the FDA. And it is not possible to completely prevent lead from entering the food supply, but it may be possible to reduce the levels through changes to agriculture or manufacturing process. That's interesting because we don't know what we don't know, but we only know what we do know. So even by me reading this article off and bringing this to your attention, it's another thing that we know. But I'm not sure if you knew about these allotted micrograms of lead to be in our food. Like they said, some things you just really can't avoid. But the more you investigate, the more that you have the power to make the best decision for your health. Let's go back to the article. The greatest danger from adverse effects of lead exposure comes from repeated or continuous exposure. Pregnant people and children are the most vulnerable, and childhood exposure to lead can cause long-term harm, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Chronic lead exposure has also been linked to immune suppression, reproductive problems, kidney damage, and high blood pressure in adults, Consumer Reports says. And this is the source. The information in this article was taken from Consumer Reports investigation published October 14th, 2024, analyzing the levels of toxic heavy metals in 23 popular protein powders and shakes. The background information was taken from the FDA and the CDC. This story was reported from Detroit. So that concludes today's reading of this article entitled Protein Powder Shakes Contain High Lead Levels, Analysis Found. And this is written on the fox5atlanta.com website, and I'll have that posted in the description. Now, this headline may deter some people from taking protein and intaking protein. And while I empathize with that, it's not the smartest move to make at this time, especially for men over 40. You need at least 0.8 to 1.1 grams of protein per pound of body weight that you have. So 0.8 to 1.1. So how can you find the exact number that best fit you? You can download my How Many Calories Do I Need to Eat to gain weight, lose weight, gain muscle, all three. It provides a very accurate and systematic way to track your calories and, most importantly, track your macros. And one of your macros is protein. Protein is so essential for our daily life. It helps reduce the risk of sarcopenia, the inevitable muscle mass loss that we all occur. And it starts really after 35, really, tell you the truth, especially for men. So in order to retain that muscle, those gains, that workout that you did at the gym today, then you need to make sure that you are including protein, in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day nutritional intake. But we want to be safe though, right? You want to make sure we are intaking the right amount of protein, but the right protein. As you see here, there's lead in all of our food supply, right? There's small traces. Some you can do about, some things you can't do anything about. But what you can do about is picking the right protein company, picking the right protein supplements that don't contain any lead. And to get that full list, I will have the link in the description. That way you can make the best decision for you going forward. What protein supplements do you take? Do you prefer pre-made shakes? Or do you prefer powder? And how many grams of protein do you get per day? I want you to go ahead and comment below and let me know what's going on with you and your life and how you're doing. And I just really, really, really appreciate you tuning in to the Success Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Christian Evans. This podcast is for men over 40 who wants to improve their relationship with diet, their exercise, their nutrition, their fitness, all things that us men really are concerned about right now going forward. A lot of times with these articles that I'm reading, I have questions that I'm constantly Googling. I'm constantly, you know what? I'm not Googling anymore. Let me keep it a bean with you. I am on Gemini. I am on ChatGPT. So I'm asking these questions and I'm finding out these answers. And I'm finding out these answers just like you're finding them out when you're listening to me. So there are some things that I know and there are a lot that I don't. And what I do not know, I want to know, and I want to share that journey with you. So I would love it if you would rate this podcast, leave me a comment, and or share. Just pick one. I don't want to overload you with commands or demands, but if anything I would appreciate more is that you just tune in again next week. I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time out to listen to me, and I'll be back before you know it. These podcasts are just going to start popping up on your timeline a lot more. I'm back into the mode of recording, and I got a better way to do it right now. And that way I can go ahead and keep reading off these articles to you. If not, then I can read off from my blog. But it's not going to be so much a read off. A lot of times with my read offs, they're exactly what I said. I'll try to find these articles to these questions that I have, and it produces answers, right? And I also have my blog just as well, christiansweightsuccess.net. And if you're like me, you're an audio learner. I'm an audio learner, just like here on this podcast. You are listening to me, that you are watching. So a lot of times when I write, I'm like, somebody may not get this message, so let me go ahead and read that off. So I'll do a combination of both. You let me know any other subject or topics that you want me to hit. I got a couple of them in the chamber that I'm very interested in reading and finding out more information, and hopefully that you will be on that journey just as well with me too. I want you to be safe, be well, and go work out. Peace out.